Hello! We are great to have you here. Today we have a special guest, Samsara,
Hi.
from the United States, and we are really glad to have this opportunity to share valuable time with you,
Thank you.
and also because we are gonna give them the opportunity to have another perspective about how does it feel to be in Colombia but coming from another place.
Okay.
Okay? So we are with Brian Feng and Samsara and Mauricio. First of all, we would like to ask you, let's go straight to the topic. We would like to ask you about what did your classmates tell you about coming to Colombia?
So I think I got a mixed view of responses for when I got my Fulbright. So I'm here through a organization called Fulbright, and what they do is they send people to all parts of the world from the United States to teach English and to do research. So my friends were very happy that I received such a prestigious award. And I had so many people who said, "Oh, you're going to be in Colombia. I'm going to go visit you. I'm so excited."
Great.
But then there were people who I loved and who were very close to me, such as my best friends, um, who I would say, "You should come to Colombia. Like, it's going to be amazing. I'll be there for a full year." And they were like, "Oh, I don't know if my mom will let me. Oh, I don't know if I really want to, you know?" And so I was like, "It'll be fine. Like, trust me." And they're like, "How do you know? You haven't been there." And I'm like, "I promise you, it'll be fine. Like, just have faith." Like, things, but they had heard things about Colombia, and so they were scared about coming. But for the most part, it was really positive reviews, and then a little bit of uncertainty about what the condition is like over here.
Yeah. How is the perspective about the conditions
hmm
about living in Colombia?
But for the most part, I think the perceptions are, um, yes, that this is an area where there is still a lot of progress happening in terms of the violent crimes that happened because of the drug wars,
Yeah.
and the movements that have taken place to improve the situation. So I think if you know that and if you've read up on Colombia, you'll know that that's what the situation is like. There's progress. It's still complex. But if you don't read, or if you're not attuned to what the news are saying, or to what people in Colombia are saying specifically, then you might just base it off of pop culture, which just tends to paint Latinos in a very negative light.
And do the people there read a lot of newspapers and do they informate themselves? Or
Yeah, I would say it depends on what area. So
okay.
if it's for US politics, yes, for the most part, I think people, at least in my university, they were well attuned about US politics and stuff of that sort. But beyond that, it takes a very nuanced person to want and research more about global issues. So maybe if you have family in Latin America, or if you're really interested in Latin American politics, you might read a little bit more about over here. Um, or in the same in other parts, Europe, in the Middle East, in Southeast Asia. It just depends. I would say for the most part, people do read, but it tends to be more national. And then beyond that, it's a smaller group of people.
So as soon you got here, you could be like, okay, this is a new place, new food, new culture. How would you explain? How would you explain that were your feelings while you arrived here in the first weeks?
The first weeks, I think I was very excited coming to Colombia. I'm from Houston, Texas, and in Houston we have the third largest population of Colombian people. So yeah,
Oh
of
wow!
the entire United States. I'm sorry, not Colombia itself,
Okay,
but all of
okay.
the United States. And so it's a pretty big presence, and so I knew some stuff. So I was excited and looking forward to those things. Um, but it was a whole other thing being here and living this is like my daily life. So an entire whirlwind of emotions, is what I would say. So I had highs where I was like, wow, this is the most amazing thing I've ever done.
For example?
For example, I would say going to Toche, Tolima,
Okay,
and
okay.
I went on a jeep, on top of a jeep.
Yeah,
And
nice.
I was just like, okay. And I'm like, is this safe? And they're like, you're fine. We'll be fine. I was like, okay, cool. But then some lows where it was like, I'm trying to connect with my culture and really in the United States, you see just a variety of different cultures being present all the time, and not having that was a little bit difficult. Just like not having my Mexican food or having a variety of languages. I'm so used to like going into the buseta and having everything in like 5 languages. So just those little things that remind me of like I'm not the only other. Because I think even right now when I say Monday, people are like, oh, you're not from here. Where are you from? Versus in the United States, if someone says something that's different, it's kind of like, oh, well, everyone in the United States, it's a little different.
Wow.
So that would be one of my things. It was a
Wow.
mix of highs and lows.
Do you know some organization where the United States and the Colombian share
Share?
an organization or something?
The UN, I imagine, since
The
we talked
UN.
about it. I'm not sure if NATO, is they're still part of the North Atlantic Trade?
No.
No?
We
Okay,
cannot be
organization.
there.
Yeah, I think I'm not too keen on
Okay,
those
perfect.
relationships, but I would say maybe the UN.
Have you heard something about Colombia in the last months? Yeah.
I heard about the falsos positivos that
Okay.
the show.
Okay, and how was it?
It just kind of lessened the credibility of the president, who's the highest figure of power
Yeah.
in most countries. So I would say here it made people lose trust, and maybe on the foreign side too,
Sure.
lose trust in a powerful figure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And what exactly about falsos positivos did you hear?
I might be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
But from what I remember, it said that it was a while ago. It was in like October, November.
Yeah, yeah.
And they talked about the president showed the advances that the military government had on just ending crime here in Colombia, and I think related to war, to the drug war. But it ended up being old pictures, not even current ones,
Yeah.
from when the past president used to have falsos positivos, which is when the government went out and killed campesinos, and showed that as being guerrilla warriors. And so if that's right, that's what I remember, but it was a while ago. So I don't know if there's anything new in the news.
That was a very big mistake. But also happened something some weeks ago, and it is that Duque went to the UN and he shows 128 pages with information about the group ELN and the Venezuelan government. And he said that they were working together. But actually, that information and those pictures that were in the document, they weren't from the ELN and the Venezuelan government. They were from the Colombian government, and they happened here in Colombia, and they happened with well, it was a very big mistake
So,
because, as you said, we lost tons of trust in the international trading and international organizations where we are part. Yo, have you ever heard about el plebiscito de paz, el acuerdo de paz?
Not in the Colombian context. I
Okay.
think I've heard it in different contexts, but not here in Colombia.
That was a very big deal between the FARC and the Colombian government, and actually I would say it would the biggest, or it was the biggest agreement that gave us a lot of minutes in the public media in a lot of countries. And could you see something in the newspaper about this topic?
There was a peace agreement that we saw. There was a lot of news about where the past president was able to work out just an agreement between the different guerrilla groups to reach some sort of peace. And I know one group wasn't added to it. Is it the ELN?
And that is the group that we
That's
are
all.
right now fighting with. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So from the most part, that's what we heard. There was a peace agreement that took place. I believe that president won the Nobel Peace Prize for
He
their
got it?
efforts.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
and it helped to reintegrate people who used to be in those guerrilla groups back into society in some way. And I know that that's complicated, but that's kind of what we've heard
Exactly.
abroad.
Okay.
What do you think about the term Narco Colombia? Or you know?
Yeah, Narco Colombia. I was gonna say I think that's what a lot of people might think about Colombia if they don't read beyond it and just knowing that there's been a lot of progress just by like your past president and the efforts that they've done. Um, but Narco Colombia reminds me a lot of a little bit of my own background with Mexico. My parents are from Mexico, and a lot of people also see it as a narco state where there is government and narcotraficantes working together and really influencing politics. So for that, I think a lot of people might think of Colombia just as still being in a very complicated situation, which it is. But for me, it didn't scare me that much, or it wasn't one of my concerns, because I just related it back to my experience with Mexico. And yes, it's dangerous in Mexico, I'm not going to negate that. It is difficult and you have to travel around with caution, but it's manageable. And people live there and they have their everyday life and people subsist. So I think the same is what I thought for Colombia. I thought that, yes, they might be in a complicated situation, but that doesn't mean life stops. And there's a lot of progress, and I knew that from the efforts that the government had been taking. So I just kind of understood that term to be the reality that it once had in its history and that it's working through right now.
And also, you that are watching this, look, if you want to help the entire planet, you must be open to other perspectives. And to can be in touch with other perspectives, you must to search them. And it does not matter where you are. For example, here in Ibagué, we actually do not have lots of foreign people, but there are. And if you get in touch with them, you can expand your mindset and you can understand the world with a worldwide perspective. And you know, the best of having a worldwide mentality is that you understand that even having some limits between countries, we are just one big folk, I would say. One big community.
Yeah.
And we should also treat ourselves like that. Do you have something to say, my Liba?
So, thank you for watching this amazing interview. Thank you, Sansara, for
Of course.
coming here and help to us.
Yeah,
I
thank you for
really
having
like
me.
your classes.
Oh, I'm
And
glad.
if you want to learn English or improve your
Yes.
English, you can come to the club
Please,
of conversation,
every
reading,
day.
writing. So you can come you can
Yeah,
sponsor you.
from Monday to Saturday, we have classes 2 hours, and they're for reading, writing, and conversation. You have any level that you have in English, you're more than welcome. And I
Okay.
hope that I make it accessible.
Okay, thank you for
Yeah,
coming.
of course.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you
Yeah,
very
claro,
much.
con gusto.
Ciao, ciao.
Okay.